Hey, Orchinistas, it's Tracy here. Guess what? We're going to do an update today. A few months ago, I got a haul from Better-Gro at my local, not my local, actually, in South Carolina at Myrtle Beach. I got Better-Gro orchids. I didn't even know what they were. I'd never seen Better-Gro other than on YouTube. Several people were talking about them. And where I'm from, they don't have them. You only get Phalaenopsis. That's it. I have to buy all of my other orchids from outside of the state I live in, Hawaii or California, various places. I've been getting my orchids to grow my collection. So, and of course, the shipping is ridiculous. $25, $27. It's ridiculous. So when I found these, I was freaking out. Let's do an update today. I got these around the first part of May, and here we are in about mid to late August. So close to 3 months, a little over 3 months. So let's get started here. Why not? Let's just get started here. And this is the plant I'm going to choose here. Cattleya, why not? Its now name is now Guartonia, why not? This is the red version. And when I got it, now this is the pot that it came in, this 4-inch pot. It had 2 new growths here. They really haven't done much, to be honest. There's been very little growth on them. They're not quite filling out their pseudobulbs yet. This is a nice little fat little guy right here, and they're just not quite filling out yet. Get some of this papery sheath off of it. We've had a little damage. We have cats in the house, and we have one that anytime new orchids come in, if he can find them, he's going to find them, and he's going to taste them. So we have a little bit of damage here, little teeth marks right there, but it doesn't hurt the plant. So not much to say about this one. I have started volunteering at a conservatory, and their why nots are blooming now, just starting to open the flowers. So I really don't think I'm going to get flowers this year. I was hoping I was. One of them, this one here, does have a flower sheath in it, but it ended up dying back, turning brown. Not quite so sure I'm going to get any flowers from this new growth here. Really not a whole lot to report on this. We have had some growth of some roots, but that's about it on this one. So not a great report for why not. Okay, the next one here, this is Podenera Dick Smith Dark Beauty variety. And this one is doing really, really good. This is in the same pot. I haven't repotted it, but we have a new growth here, and it is finishing up. It's starting to mature. It's kind of what I want to say here. Just a smidge, going to be a little bit smidge. Doesn't appear taller. Leaf is definitely not taller. The sheath right here is a little bit taller than this one right here. But we also have this new growth here. I believe we had this growth was coming out on the plant when I got it, and it has grown a new one. This one hasn't started opening up. You know how on Cattleyas, they'll start out and the leaves are folded really tight until they get to the length that they're going to get to, and then they'll start opening up. So this one hasn't quite started. Yeah, a little bit, maybe, a little bit. In fact, I can just run my finger in it and it doesn't hurt. Run my fingernail, it doesn't hurt the plant at all, and open that up just ever so slightly. But we have new root tips growing here. Can you see those right there? Hopefully you can see those new root tips. New roots growing down this way into the pot and down here under this pseudobulb. So really, really doing good, having good growth progress on that. Okay, the next one here. This is RLC Takishi Akatsuko Volcano Sunshine. This is a yellow Cattleya, and of course, you guys, you've been with me for a little while. You know I'll put the name of the plant, even though I read it out loud, I will put the name of the plant and a picture of the plant up on the screen so that you can see what it's going to look like. Now this one here was growing this pseudobulb right here. This was the last one, so it had an eye that was starting to grow a new one right here, and that is opening up and that is starting to mature. That is, you always want to see your pseudobulbs get larger year by year by year. If they end up they're smaller, you need to check whether or not you are giving the plant the light it needs, the nutrients that it needs, maybe some supplements that it would need, and figure out what kind of setbacks maybe you have had on your plant. So you always want to make sure that they're taller than the previous year's growth. This one also had, this pseudobulb here has started growing another growth right here. And we have lots of new root tips. And I'm just looking to see if there's any more growths. There's a potential, maybe this pseudobulb here, this grew off of one side, and it looks like there's some swelling on the other eye on this side of the pseudobulb. It's possible we are at the end of a growing season, so it's possible this won't push out a new growth until next year. These are growing in a southern window in my home, so they are going to start following the natural day length, and I just don't know if it will push out another growth right now. But there are a lot of roots that have grown in here. Let's see if we can get the camera angle so you can see down into the pot. The one here, there's another one. Don't know if you can see it kind of coming around and wrapping around the pot right here with its lovely little green tip. So that one is doing very, very well. Okay, now we have this one here. Remember this one? This was that weird one that was BLC. It's now RLC, Burdekin Wonder Lakeland, crossed with LC Spring Squall, crossed with BC Mount Hood Cultivar Mary. And this one is supposed to be a pink with a yellow throat. But if you look up all of those plants, they're all white. Now, there is, back in its lineage, in its heritage, there can be the potential of pinks. Burdekin Wonder, if I'm not mistaken, I have seen that one in a pink. I don't remember what the clonal name is, but Lakeland is most definitely a white. Spring Squall is white with a red, kind of red in the throat and some yellow. Mount Hood is the same thing. It's white, especially the clonal Mary, like this one is. That is a white Cattleya. The throat is yellow, and on the very bottom tip in the center of the lip, there's just a little streak of pink, little streak of red. So I'll be surprised if this does turn out to be pink. I think it'll be fabulous. I love pink flowers, so I'm all for it. What is this one done? Okay, so we have new growth here that was coming out of the plant. It has matured, and it is starting another pseudobulb right here. And let me see here. Trying to see if possibly there might have been, yeah, there is a root tip that started, but it's got a little brown tip on it. I don't know that root tip is probably not going to continue. This root right here, this aerial root, has come off of this new growth right here that we had. Now this plant also had on a back bulb 2 new growths that were coming out, and they were very, very, very tiny. If you go back and watch that original Better-Gro haul, I had to do it in 2 parts because I got 8 plants and I needed to do it in a 2-part. It had 2 tiny little growths coming out, and they are here and here. This one's not quite sure what it's going to do. I don't feel like that's going to be a flower sheath. I kind of think maybe that's a leaf because the pseudobulb is just too tiny. The whole plant itself is too tiny to be blooming right now, especially off of this growth. I can tell I had to repot this. I'm not so sure I'm thrilled with this pot. Because of my watering schedule and having so many orchids, I try to keep them to where I'm not watering every single day. And this one definitely appears to need some water. It's drying out a lot faster than the ones that are in the solid plastic pots. So I did have to repot this one. So I've got it in bark with some sphagnum moss, and it probably, if I had to guess, without looking up I keep a list of all of my orchids, and I keep a track of everything I do to the orchid, when I repotted it and when I water them and what I water them with. And I'm going to guess this has probably been maybe 5 days, maybe less, since this was watered, but it definitely looks like it could be watered some more. Alrighty, then I'm used to it being called a Wanagara apple blossom. This now has been changed. It is now called Jackfoliera apple blossom. The cultivar is NN. This is the yellow version of the apple blossom. This one was a new growth, and it has continued to grow, and it's starting to plump out its pseudobulb here. Look at that nice, just fat, wonderful pseudobulb. I love seeing those on all of my orchids. That's what I strive for, is to all of them have nice, fat pseudobulbs, lots of storage of energy and water and nutrients in those. So we have a lot of new roots. I didn't repot this, but what I did do when those new roots started coming out, and I had I'd have to go back and look, 7 or 8. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, so many root tips coming out of this one pseudobulb. It was insane that I just put a very thin layer of sphagnum moss on the top here to help those little roots. And we still have root tips coming out this way. Now, this one has a flower sheath down here in the center. I don't know when this is supposed to bloom. I've never had one of these before. So in the comments, guys, please let me know. Do you have this one, this actual cultivar? When does it bloom for you? What season does this one bloom for you? So just let me know in the comments. Okay, so that one looks great. Then the next two that I got was the little 2-inch, and this was the LC Final Blue. And this one had a little tiny little growth coming out right there. And look at how much this has grown. Look at just how tall that has gotten. And probably what I should do is, and it's not going to hurt the plant if I do or I don't, but if you want to do a little grooming of your plants, you can just ever so gently maybe put a stake right here, or tie up your pseudobulbs if you want them to kind of grow straight. When you grow indoors towards windows, everything goes towards the light and towards the windows. So you definitely sometimes, especially on the bigger Cattleyas, I definitely have to do things like that and get them staked up and tied up. Really excited about this one. I've been doing some research on LC Final Blue. This will be a small Cattleya, small in stature, and the flowers on it are just adorable. They are, when you say blue, it really means it's like a light lavender with darker blue lip to it. And I've started a collection of blue flowers. I have LC Final Blue. I also have Cattleya Dinard Blue Heaven. I also have, it's called Volcano Blue, and it's from Akatsuko, and the clonal name is, I do think it's Volcano Queen on that one. And that's another large, that'll be a larger, taller Cattleya than what this will be. So I'm getting various sizes in the blues. I also have a Phalaenopsis that is in bloom right back here under the window. That is Kenneth Schubert, and that is also a blue. Cutest little flowers ever. And so that would be fun, I think, to do a video when they get larger. A lot of these seedlings get larger and they bloom, and we've got all of them together that we could do a video of the blues. Okay, then the next one here, this one here is Podenera Dick Smith crossed with Chelsea Allward. Now the clonal name on this will be Paradise, but the two plants, I won't say two plants, the cross hasn't been registered, so it's not a named yet. It's just simply Dick Smith crossed with Chelsea Allward, clonal name Paradise. I actually think there's 2 plants in here. I haven't taken it apart to find out for sure, but I'm kind of getting some separation right into here. Maybe you can see, and I think there might be 2 plants in here, but we had 2 growths on it. We have this one here that was growing. It's finished and it's maturing now. The sheath is drying back, so this one is maturing, and The pseudobulb itself is starting to swell and plump up. We have root tips that are growing on it. Look at all of those nice ones. Then we also have this new, on the other plant or the back side, we have this new growth that's coming out. And if I'm not mistaken, this was a new growth and it has matured and it has sent out another new growth. But lots of root tips on here, doing wonderful. Root tips, I tell you guys, they are so sensitive. It has new roots on it, and as soon as those root tips touch the plastic pot, and or during the 3 months I was fertilizing with a heavier concentration of fertilizer, and it was burning these seedlings, it was burning their root tips. It's either that, or I've still got to do some testing on the water that's here in this rental house. I'm finding out from a local nursery that I went to that the water is not of great quality. So he recommended that I start setting my water out and letting some of these chemicals evaporate. It's got a lot of fluoride in it, a lot of chlorine in it, I think is what he said. So it could also be that if I just flush the pot with just tap water, that could also be doing it with the roots. Okay, the last one I got in that video, you guys remember, I got a Vanda. Guys, I don't know how to grow a Vanda. Where I live, I never thought a Vanda was a possibility to grow, and especially indoors. So this one currently has been spending the summer outside and loving it. It gets east morning sun on the covered deck that we have, and I put it in a pot. And I think in the video, I just had it in a small clay pot, just long enough to hold it up so it wouldn't fall over until I decided exactly what I was going to do with it. So what I decided to do is I've got it in a 6-inch azalea pot. We've got, it's just basically kind of like little granite, 3/4 to 1 inch rocks down here on the bottom. Then I decided to put lava rock up to about right here. And then I thought, you know what, lava rock on these new roots is kind of rough. It's got a rough surface to it. And I just wasn't sure if that would damage the roots. A lot of people I've seen have grown things in lava rock, so I wanted to definitely give it a try. But then I decided to give it something smooth that it could attach to, and I bought off of Amazon unused wine corks. And I put those and top dressed it with that. That's also allowing me to use these as a weight when I get an aerial root that wants to come out and grow over the pot. I'm trying to keep everything contained in the pot so I can figure out what am I going to do with this in the wintertime. So I just use this as a little weight on these root tips to start getting them to grow down into the pot. I've had success doing that. I've had several of them over here that started coming. I just put a couple of corks on that and it just immediately started shooting down towards the bottom of the pot. Water it about every 2 days is what I'm doing right now, and it's quite happy with that. This leaf here was tiny in the other video that I did when I first got these, and we have got a nice size leaf here. We started growing this leaf here, and lo and behold, I've noticed there's another one down coming out of the middle. So the plant is happy doing, and I mean, it's surviving. I've got 6 or 7 plants that I'm testing outdoors right now on this covered patio. I've never had that before in the homes that I've lived in. I've never had a way to put my orchids outdoors. So if we end up staying here through next summer, I'm going to have a lot more of them outdoors for the summer and try and see what kind of happens with them. But I don't know what to do with this when it comes indoors in the winter. That's part of the reason why it's in the pot. You know, indoors, I'm in a rental, like I said, and I don't want to put a hook up in the ceiling to let this hang. So it's going to have to go on a table in front of a window. Now, I don't know, should I put this on a heat mat? Can you guys let me know what I should do if any of you have your orchids growing, your Vandas growing indoors in the winter? Terracotta, I do know that it wicks moisture out, but then again, it also is cold to the touch in the wintertime. So I'm thinking, do I need to put this on a heat mat just to overwinter it? I'm just not quite sure. So any advice you guys could give me on what to do with that? I've been growing orchids for over 30 years, but this is the first Vanda I've ever had and tried. I don't live in Florida, so can't put them outdoors all year round. So just let me know in the comments whatever you think. And thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed seeing the growth that these guys have had. I'll continue to do updates, but until next time, happy orchid growing.